Goodyear, Arizona. Talk about a beautiful day for a spring training baseball game. Hello, Angel fans. I'm Patrick O'Neill. This is the 5th of 31 spring training games for your Los Angeles Angels, and Mike Scioscia and the rest of the team has to be excited about Andrew Heaney making his spring debut for the Halos. Let's take you through the lineups for your Halos. Leading off, playing right field is Cole Calhoun. Mike Trout will be in center field, batting second. Big home run, couple of hits yesterday for Trout. Ball jumping off his bat. Albert Pujols batting third. Playing first, Eric Ibar is your shortstop, and he's hitting cleanup, followed by C.J. Cron, the DH. Chris Iannetta is catching today. Colin Cowgill will be in left field. Josh Rutledge will be at second base and hitting eighth, and Kyle Kubica is your third baseman. And pitching for your Angels, as I mentioned, exciting to see Andrew Heaney. Here's who Heaney will be facing for the Cincinnati Reds. Leading off, Jason Bourgeois. He'll be playing left field, followed by Joey Votto, an RBI machine at first base. Hitting third for the Reds is Chris Dominguez, playing third base, followed by Jay Bruce in right field. Hitting fifth for Cincinnati, Brian Pena. He's the DH. Zach Cozart will be the shortstop for the Reds. Skip Schumacher is going to be at second base. Yorman Rodriguez is in center field for Cincinnati. And Kyle Skipworth will be catching for the Reds. And a former teammate of Heaney is Anthony DeSclafani. DeSclafani pitching for Cincinnati. For all the action today on Fox Sports West, let's go upstairs to the guys calling the action, Jose Mota and Terry Smith.
Dimensions here at Goodyear Ballpark in Goodyear, Arizona. It goes 345 down the lines to dead center field 410, and in the gaps in left center and right center 380. A lot of red in the stands today. Not that big of a crowd, maybe a late arriving crowd. We'll see how that all shakes out. And on the hill for Cincinnati today is young right-hander Anthony DeSclafani. He is a pitcher who came over from the Florida Marlins. He was a teammate of the Angels starter today, Andrew Heaney, at 3 different stops a year ago. They were teammates at AA Jacksonville, AAA New Orleans, and then were both in the big leagues for a little bit of time last season with the Marlins. And, of course, now today, neither one in their old organization and getting ready to oppose each other this afternoon here in Tempe. Today's game, it's being brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts and CarQuest. Great people, great products, great prices. The home plate umpire today is John Byrne. And on the bases, we have Mike Winters, Lance Barrett, and Pat Hoberg. And Jose, this is a Reds split squad the Angels are facing today. They will have another game later on this afternoon as they take on the Colorado Rockies. So it's kind of interesting, I guess. This is a ballpark here which houses 2 major league franchises, the Reds and the Indians. And today we'll see half of one of those franchises as the Red split squad takes on the Angels here in Goodyear.
The state of Ohio is well represented.
So we are just about set for baseball. Light breeze, nothing to speak of at the moment. And Cole Calhoun gets ready to lead things up for the Angels. Left-handed batter against the right-hander Anthony DeSclafani, 24 years old, 6'1", 190-pounder. We're set. Here's the first pitch today, and it's a fastball in there on the outside corner, called strike. The count 0-1 on Cole Calhoun.
Well, you will see from DeSclafani is a guy that throws a lot of strikes. Not shy of the strike zone. A lot of movement up and down and side to side.
There's one that's line foul on the left side that gets backing out of play. And so the count, no balls, 2 strikes on Cole Calhoun. Jose mentioned Cole Calhoun grew up not very far away from this ballpark. He's a native of Buckeye, Arizona. That's the next town west of Goodyear, as that one is fouled back over by the Reds dugout on the third base side. So the count remains no balls, 2 strikes.
It wasn't long ago that if you were traveling west from Phoenix to Los Angeles, this was way open country, open desert, I should say. Not now.
2 strikes to count on Cole Calhoun with Mike Trout waiting on deck, and the next pitch. This one is popped in the air in a shallow left center field. The shortstop Cozart goes back and makes the catch. Bourgeois on left came in, but it was Cozart signaling all the way. Easy play for the shortstop, and Mike Trout, who has the only Angel home run so far this spring in the first 4 games, is ready to bat.
It was one of those balls that the sound of the bat just told you put your head down and just write it down on your scorecard, Terry. HR, circle the bases with number 27.
Trout's 3 for 6 so far this spring with the homer. Couple runs batted in, and the pitch. He fouls that one right off the catcher, Kyle Skipworth.
Something you don't see very often. Mike Trout swung at the first pitch.
Yeah.
At this point last spring, he said, I will be more aggressive when the season starts. I will swing in more first pitches. Nothing wrong with the change in plans, as he was named the MVP, but we saw Trout as patient as ever once the regular season began. He swung at the first pitch around 10 to 12% of the time. That's it.
Here's the next one on Trout, and he takes that one. That's in there for a strike. DeScalafani will throw a fastball, top out around 94. Pretty good slider. He'll throw a sinker. He has a curve and changeup. And as Jose mentioned, he's a guy who has good command. He throws strikes, even though a young pitcher, not much time in the big leagues, but he is definitely in the mix to be in the Reds starting rotation coming out of spring training, as Trout takes that one up and in.
Well, they lost 2 arms via trades, and Alfredo Simon, Terry, and Matt Latos. 2 guys at those innings, somebody has to pick them up.
Trout checking the swing on that one. The appeal down to first base. They say he was holding. So it's 2-2.
Kids like Sclafani, and then you have Cueto, 20-game winner last year. Homer Bailey, hopefully healthy. Mike Leake. You got Tony Cingrani, too.
Here's the next pitch. Chopped on the right side at Schumacher, the second baseman, and his throw will easily get Trout. So 4-3 ground out.
Very interesting. 2 things this at bat for Mike Trout you don't see very often. Swinging at the first pitch, and Mike Trout grounding out to the second baseman. Got to the point last year where the only team that actually put a shift on Trout, they just vacated second base, for the Tampa Bay Rays. It just not roll much over in that direction.
So here's Albert Pujols, his first at bat today. And the pitch, and that one is up and in. It was a little bit surprising seeing the Angels lineup today, this being a travel game for the Angels, and the fact the Angels were facing a split squad for Cincinnati, to see all the regulars that Mike Scioscia's brought here today. Pitch, Albert hits one sharply, third base side off the glove of the diving Chris Dominguez, through into left field. Pujols will make the turn at first, and he will hold there with a 2-out single. So Albert now 4 for 8 so far this spring, off to a good start. Angels' first hit of the game brought to you by 714 Tickets. If you want to make a hit on tickets, log on to 714tickets.com. 714 Tickets. Call today, go tonight.
Albert's been pulling the ball hard, a lot of authority, and that's all just reaction to how they're pitching to him even this early in the spring. Big difference between rolling over and hitting it hard that way.
There's Ibar batting. He goes after the first pitch and fouls that one off on the left side, backing out of play. Ibar batting cleanup today for the Angels.
Yeah, had 2 games last year where he batted cleanup. Mike Scioscia took advantage of a time when Hamilton was out, Freese was out, and said, Eric, don't change anything. Go out there and just put the ball in play. And at one point, he was one of the most reliable run producers for a little stretch there.
Here's the next one on Ibar. He chops it foul. That one skips into the Angels' dugout on the first base side. So the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Matt Joyce, who could end up batting cleanup a lot for the Angels this season. He's kind of nursing a right side problem.
And it's one of those where you do not want to take a chance this early.
So Ibar hitting up with the big boys today, and the pitch bounce right to the shortstop. Easy play at second will force out Pujols, and the inning is over on the 6-4 fielder's choice. Not much happening for the Angels in the top of the first. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a runner left. Half inning in the books here in Goodyear. It's the Angels nothing and the Reds no score. You're listening to the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. first we go here in Goodyear. No score as lefty Andrew Heaney gets ready to make his first pitch this spring. And here it comes. The first one a little bit inside for ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Heaney, 6'2", 185 pounds. And the next delivery, this is chopped over the mound, out behind second. Nice stop by Ibar. Throws, and it's just a little bit late. Bourgeois has an infield hit. Ibar did everything he could with that one. It was close at first base, but the batter beat the throw.
To what, Ibar came from a long ways. He was actually playing Bourgeois to pull, and he really made that play closer than it should have been to begin with. At one point, I thought that ball was just going to keep going to center field.
So the batter is the Reds' first baseman, Joey Votto. Votto played in only 62 games last year. 4-time All-Star. Takes the pitch outside.
So a close look at Andrew Heaney, prized acquisition by the Angels for Howie Kendrick. He was actually traded twice on the same day, Heaney, out of Oklahoma City and Oklahoma State. Very deliberate to the mound.
And the next pitch, and that one is fouled off by Votto, back on the left side, out of play.
And that's one thing in the backfields and the back bullpen sessions. Mike Butcher, his pitching coach, even veteran pitchers have watched a guy that really stays within himself mechanically. Smooth, bit across his body. You see that glove come out first, and then you see the sweeping left arm. High 3/4.
Heaney's next pitch, and that one misses inside. Snap throw to first. Bourgeois diving back. You look at Heaney, and there is a resemblance of sorts to an injured Angels left-hander, Tyler Skaggs.
Right. And at this point, Tyler Skaggs was on the same boat as Heaney is here in spring training, trying to crack the rotation. Skaggs, of course, as you know, operated on that left elbow, will be out all of this season.
Toss over to first base. Bourgeois gets back.
And Skaggs is around. He's been participating in as many drills as possible, getting his conditioning, being around his teammates. And he says getting stronger by the day.
Lefty-lefty matchup here against Votto, and the next pitch, that one is inside. And so he's fallen behind. It's 3-1. Heaney will feature a fastball, top out around 95. He has a good slider. He likes to use that pitch against lefty batters, so he's facing one here. Solid curveball. He'll throw a cut fastball, and he has a changeup. Next pitch, and that is way outside. He walked him.
Yep, that's what Joey Votto does. Among the best. Get on base and work you in at bat.
So the first two are on, and that brings a visit out to the mound by catcher Chris Iannetta to try and calm down Heaney. Even though an exhibition game, he might have a little nervous energy out there on the mound. First time with his new organization. Still a young pitcher, age 23.
Terry, but between the lines, forget about it. For you, it's another game where you have to go out there and do well.
So here is Chris Dominguez. And the first pitch. That one is a pitch and misses for a ball. Dominguez finally got to the big leagues last year, but he got there with the San Francisco Giants. He had been in the minors for a number of seasons. L.A. native. Really big guy, 6'5", 235-pounder. 28 years old. And they have him batting third today. The pitch, this is nubbed in front of the plate. Heaney off the mound has it. One play first in time. So the 1-3 bouncer on the play. Bourgeois moves over to third. Votto up to second. And Jay Bruce, who's off to a good start this spring for the Reds, will be the next batter.
It's a good job there by the young lefty, not panicking, starting with the baseball. Also notice immediately how loud his catcher Chris Iannetta was, and letting him know to just look for that one out, that sure one at first base.
So here's Bruce, who had a tough year last year, hit a career low 217. He has good power with the pitch, and that one is low. Heaney could use a strikeout, and Bruce is a guy who will strike out, over 100 strikeouts each of the last 5 seasons. But he's also a guy that can hit the ball a long way. Here's the 1-0. And this one is lifted in the air into right field, but it's right at Cole Calhoun. He's going to make the catch. Bourgeois will tag at third and score easily on the sac fly. And Cincinnati has a 1-0 lead.
Well, so the Reds take advantage of the infield single, the walk, the little numbler, and then a nice piece of hitting there by Jay Bruce. Got something he could handle from the lefty. Considering Bruce really struggled last year against left-handers, he hit only 161. And he got himself something good to hit. And let's treat this inning, Terry, as a settling down type of inning here for Andrew Heaney.
Sure. Brian Pena, the batter, their backup catcher. He's DHing today, right-handed hitter. Runner at second, 2 outs, run in. Here's the pitch, and chopping the ball deep at the hole at short is Pena. It's fielded by Ibar. The throw will easily get him, and the inning is over. So in the inning, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 walk, no errors, and 1 left. We've completed 1 here in Goodyear. 1-0 Reds on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Second inning we go. First pitch was a ball, and the 1-0 delivery that's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. At the plate for the Angels, C.J. Cron. 1-0 in favor of the Reds as we start the second inning. And this copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Angels Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of today's game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball. Infield backed up, outfield straight away as Cron digs in. He's had 3 hits and a run batted in so far in the spring. Cracks his bat, lifts one into shallow left center, and tracking it down is Roman Rodriguez for an easy play.
Noticing, Terry, now the implementation of the timers and the clocks here in the ballparks. First pitch to Cron was made with 25 seconds left, so it took only 2 minutes for the pitcher Sclafani, and then for Cron to be ready to go and hit. So, you know, hitters, pitchers, everybody, managers getting used to it.
Here's Chris Iannetta batting, takes a first pitch fastball high. The count 1 ball, no strikes.
In fact, I've noticed Mike Scioscia comes out of the dugout now, and his arm is up, and managers are doing that too, which of course they were instructed to do. Once they want the reliever in, it's like decision's been made as you're walking. I'm sure Brian Pride's doing the same thing for the Reds, and it's good to see those changes and guys adapting to them.
Speed up rules being implemented this year, Major League Baseball. Here's the next delivery, 2-0. That's a pitch outside, 3-0 on a patient hitter, Chris Iannetta. Scalfani had 5 starts last year with the Marlins, and so did today's Angels pitcher, Andrew Heaney.
Is that amazing, the parallels with these two guys?
Yep. And both were highly touted in the Marlins organization. They got rid of each one of them. DeScalfani came over in the Matt Latos deal. Latos going over to the Marlins this offseason. Next pitch, chopped on the third base side, handled by Dominguez. His throw is in time, and Iannetta is retired. 5-3 on the ground out.
There's another connection between the two, Terry. Heaney is now officially with his third organization. So is DeScalfani.
Yeah.
Because he originally was in the big trade between the Jays and the Marlins. It had a lot of money moving around a couple years back. With the Reyes and
Josh Johnson was part of that deal.
Johnson was part of that. Oh, yeah. Mark Burley.
Here's the pitch. At the plate is Cowgill. He showed signs of bunting, takes it, and the pitch misses ball 1.
Even former Angel Jeff Mathis was part of that deal.
Cowgill, a couple hits so far this spring, a run batted in, getting a start today for the Angels in left, and the next delivery he cuts to that one and misses it. The case of DeScalfani, who's pitching today for the Reds, this is his second appearance this spring. He had worked a couple of innings, giving up an unearned run. Heaney, who's going for the Angels' first appearance this spring. Here's the next pitch, and an off-speed delivery. It's fouled back behind the plate.
Well, the Marlins, DeScalfani made 5 starts, 13 games, 2-2 record, ERA high of 6.27. But Terry, only 5 walks in 33 innings, including 26 strikeouts. And after the season was over, he pitched here in the Valley of the Sun, the fall league for Salt River.
Here's the next delivery. It's bounced off the plate, but it bounces foul over on the third base side.
It's not a bad place to have your home games at in the fall, huh?
Yeah.
Outstanding facility for the Diamondbacks and the Rockies sharing in Scottsdale.
We'll be there in a couple of days. Angels will play the D-backs on Wednesday. Here's the pitch, and a little bit inside. So it's a 2-2 count here on Cowgill with Rutledge waiting on deck. 1-0 Cincinnati. We're in the top of the second.
Seeing some of the good natural move he has to his arm side off the plate there. Already takes off.
Here's the next pitch. It's fouled back behind the plate. So it's still 2-2. One thing about DeScalfani here, he is a strike thrower.
Not afraid, as I mentioned, I think when you get to the big leagues first time and you see only 5 walks in 33 innings, that's telling you something.
Sure.
Well, the ERA was a little high, but that's all part of the experience. Maybe not making the right pitch at the right time or just missing locations when he needed to get some guys.
Next delivery, that one is driven into center field, but it's hanging up, circling under, and making the grab is Rodriguez. And it's a 1-2-3 inning. Not much happening for the Angels here in the second. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left. Bottom of the second is coming up. Cincinnati leading the Angels 1-0 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Zach Cozart is the first batter for Cincinnati, and the first pitch from Heaney, it's right in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count as we start the bottom of the second. Reds have a 1-0 lead, and the next delivery, that's a little bit up and in.
Oh, nerves out of the way for Andrew Heaney. Now it's a matter of making sure he can get up 3 times and get his pitch quota out of the way.
Here's the pitch, and that's way outside.
It's amazing to see, Terry, how far to the right side he lands on that mound. We consider many lefties, they throw across their body, land way across, but he's on the other side.
There's a good off-speed pitch. He fooled Cozart on that one.
So that angle right there, actually, where his arm is coming from, doesn't allow the hitter to get a good look at it straight on into him.
2-2, and that one is cut on and missed. He got him, struck him out.
Just like that. Tough to pick up fastballs like that. Even if you threw it as a two-seamer, it could go in 2 directions. That was beautiful.
So the first strikeout of the day for Heaney. Skip Schumacher will bat.
You can see him throwing a little bit more authority there. I like that. A little more confidence. Angels got him for a reason. A prized prospect in baseball. And they gave up a very fine player in Howie Kendrick to get him. I think Mike liked that one.
Yeah, the pitch was called a ball by the home plate umpire, John Byrne. You could hear Mike Socia commenting about that call by the home plate umpire. Here's a bouncer foul on the first base side. So the count level, it's 1-1 on Schumacher. Reserve infielder for the Reds. Hit .235 last year. Veteran player. He's been around. He's SoCal native, Skip Schumacher.
Yeah, former teammate of Albert Pujols and David Freese in St. Louis.
Next delivery, that's in there for a strike. Schumacher went to Aliso Niguel High School, UC Santa Barbara, lives in Ladera Ranch, South Orange County. And here's the next pitch. That's low and away.
One of those players that does a lot of things right. It's good to have in the clubhouse, and of course you got to love his versatility and toughness.
He cuts at that pitch and fouls it back to the screen. So they count 3 balls, 2 strikes on Skip Schumacher. Heaney has a new baseball. We'll see what happens on another payoff, and here it comes. Grounded on the left side. Stopped there by Kubica. The third baseman's throw in time. And that's the second out.
Well, Kyle Kubica is getting a long look. 2 starts already at third base for the Angels. The former Atlanta Brave, also acquired via trade. Playing with way more confidence, Terry, than what we saw that very first day. And we expected that.
He's had a couple of hits so far this spring. And we'll see him bat in the top of next inning. The pitch, that's a little bit low. Misses on Yorman Rodriguez. He played briefly last year with the Reds, 11 games for them. Outfielder, young player, only 22 years old. And he takes that one. And it's now 2-0. He's the youngest player on the field right now for either side. Here's the next delivery. That's low. And the count, 3 balls, no strikes. Heaney doesn't waste much time. Pretty quick worker. His 3-0 delivery. And that's a called strike on the outside corner. Mentioned Rodriguez, young player. He was signed by the Reds at age 16 as he bounces that one foul over on the left side. So a full count. See if Heaney can have a 1-2-3 inning here. And the payoff pitch, that is a little bit low and outside. He walks him. Second walk he's issued so far in the early going. The 9-hole hitter, catcher Kyle Skipworth, will be the next batter.
Okay, so could not go out there and have a clean inning. Now it's time to get back into the action. and get rid of this lefty here. Well, Jerry, you talk about lefties. How about in that bullpen? Look who's getting ready. Aroldis Chapman. You want to face him?
I don't think anybody wants to face that guy. What a year he had last season for the Reds. He struck out more than half of the batters that he faced last season.
That's incredible.
Had only 2 blown saves last year. And, of course, the velocity is good, if not better, than anyone in the game. Here's the pitch, and that one is a swing and a miss.
I mean, if we're watching from the press box out in left center field, and you see this giant, this presence going, who in the world is that? And beyond that, what he's done in the big leagues, and it's pretty impressive.
Heaney in front, 0-1. Here's the next pitch, and this one is lifted in the air, shallow left center. Coming in hard is Cowgill. He's under. He'll put it away, and Skipworth is retired, and that will end the inning. Heaney having the luxury of facing some left-handed batters in this lineup for the Reds. 4-9 from the left side. No runs in the inning, no hits. There's a walk, no errors, and they leave a runner. We've completed 2. We head to the third. 1-0 Reds on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Terry Smith, Jose Mota, and our producer-engineer Darren Chan with you. We go to the third inning, and at the plate is Josh Rutledge, who takes that pitch for a called strike. Rutledge, Kubica, and then the leadoff man Cole Calhoun here against Anthony DeScalafani. And here comes the next delivery. Rutledge making a cut at that one, pops it in the air in a shallow right center. It's going to fall in for a base hit. Leadoff single for Rutledge. His second hit so far this spring. Kubica will be the batter. Fans, the 20-game flex plan is a great way to see Angels baseball. Select the 20 games you want to see from a schedule which includes opening night, premium matchups, and popular giveaway nights. Buy your flex plan today at angels.com/ticket plans or call 888-796-HALO.
It's a good combo right there. Those plans keep getting a little bit better, Terry. More inventive as the years pass.
Here's the pitch. That is a pop-up foul off the bat of Kubica. It's going to go back to the seats and out of play.
Well, Kubica probably pretty happy to see a righty on the mound, too. Showing a good eye, good patience. Very good speed for a big guy.
No balls, 1 strike to count on him. Rutledge has decent speed. He's the base runner over at first base. Not a real big base stealer, though. The pitch, and that one misses a little bit high. It's 1-0 Cincinnati as we start the third inning. The score update, it's brought to you by Experian. Get your credit swagger on at Experian.com. Outfield, they're kind of bunched together a little bit, shading Kubica maybe the opposite way, just slightly. He cuts at that one and fouls it back to the screen. So 1-2 the count.
That's a pretty good swing right there. Good read, also anticipation in left field by Bourgeois. As that ball was being fouled off, he was moving to his right.
Everyone is set, and a toss over to first base. Rutledge diving back.
Rutledge, pretty decent speed. And that's one aspect that we've seen more and more incorporated here later into games by Mike Scioscia. So I make everybody aware more of what's expected on the offensive side.
Here's a pitch that is taken low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 75 degrees at game time today. It's expected to reach the lower 80s, and they're calling for sunny weather and temperatures in the 80s all week long. Angels have a lot of home games this week. The pitch popped up, shallow center field, hanging up for Rodriguez, who comes in, makes the grab, and that's the first out. He's been busy so far in center. He's already had 3 putouts here in the first few innings, and the batter will be Cole Calhoun.
Talk about the different things that these Califani can go out there and do to the baseball, and on that one, a very heavy action coming into the zone got Kubica tied up. There's a lot of times you catch yourself tracking the ball so well, and all of a sudden it's on you, and that's what happened. He could not get the barrel around the baseball.
So here is Cole Calhoun, who popped out to short his first time up. Angels leadoff man cuts to that one and bounces it through the right side for a base hit. Rutledge is heading on to third. Here comes the throw there. It's offline. Hustling up to second is Cole Calhoun. And the Angels have runners at second and third with 1 out. Good hustle play there by both the lead runner, Rutledge, and the batter, as it turns out, Calhoun, getting the extra base.
A great job, good back control, getting something on the inner half. And I was talking about the Kubica one. Well, this time Calhoun got the barrel around. Aggressive play all the way around. All Calhoun did was read the high throw from Bruce and say, I got to keep going. Also an outstanding turn. No wasted steps side laterally for Rutledge going around second base.
So the table has been set for Trout, who digs in and takes the first pitch for ball 1. Trout grounded out to second his first time up. Angels have a threat here to take the lead down 1-0, top of the third inning. Next one on Trout. That's outside. 2-0 the count. Albert Pujols waiting on deck for the Angels, who are threatening here with 2 in scoring position, 1 out in the third. Next pitch, and that is a fastball high and away. So the count goes to 3-0 on Trout.
No reason to be taking right here. If you like it, take a hack.
So we'll see what the game plan is. The 3-0 delivery, and Trout takes it, and that one didn't miss by much. He walks on 4 pitches. The bases are now loaded for Albert Pujols.
A pretty mature approach all the way around there by Mike Trout, thinking, yes, it is spring training, but first base is open, and the more I can get my mind ready on what might happen during the season, meaning just, they want to go out there and fish for a pitch, hook, reach out, very patient all the way around, including the very close 3-0 pitch.
So Albert, who's already had a single today, gets ready for his second at bat with a chance to do some serious damage.
This is one area in the regular season last year where Pujols had a lot of trouble. Bases loaded.
First pitch. He goes after it and drills it by the mound and over the second base pad. 1 run scores. A second is coming in. The ball flubbed by Rodriguez, but he picks it up as Trout was diving in the third base. Had he not done that, he might have had a chance to score, but Pujols drives in a pair, and the Angels have a 2-1 lead.
Outstanding approach by Albert Pujols. Goes right through the box. He knows a couple of runs are coming. The Angels aggressively running the bases have made the situation better for the guys that need to feed down the middle. Boy, it scares me to see when an outfielder attempts to make a throw and all you see is the dribble come out of his hand, because that could really get your arm out of socket quickly.
So runners at the corners. Pujols now 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Angels up by a run, 2-1. A chance to get more. Ibar, the batter. Mentioned he's hitting cleanup today, and the pitch, he goes after that one, bounces it through the right side, another RBI hit. Trout scores. Pujols stops at second. The Angels have had the last 4 batters reach base safely and have a 3-1 lead.
Oh, second time around against this young right-hander has been a different story. Angels making some quick adjustments in the batter's box. And it's not necessarily physical, but mentally what they've done here against the youngster.
C.J. Cron is the batter. He has a chance to do something here with 2 on, still 1 out. The pitch, and that's in there for a called strike. Angels have had 4 singles and a walk and have parlayed that into 3 runs with a chance to get some more. Here's the next pitch. Grounded on the left side. Stopped by Cozart. He's excellent defensively. Second for 1. Relay to first. And that is in time. Nice play by Cozart as he had a range to his right. And Cron is retired on the 6-4-3 inning-ending double play. But in the inning, the Angels do come up with a 3 spot in the inning. 4 hits, 1 walk, no errors, and the Angels leave 1. We're headed to the bottom of the 3rd. It's 3-1 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Bottom of the 3rd we go, and the first pitch from Andrew Heaney on the Reds leadoff man, Jason Bourgeois. That's in there for a called strike. 3-1 Angels as we start the bottom of the 3rd here in Goodyear. Next pitch, that's grounded foul on the right side, rolls over by the Angels dugout. 0-2 the count. Heaney now working with a 2-run lead. even the run the Reds got, it wasn't an inning where they really knocked the ball around against Heaney. There's a pitch that's high. And the count, it's now.
And you're right. It was good to see him not get rattled and not make the inning bigger, because he had the leadoff infield hit, had the walk to Votto, then had the 1-3 putout, sac fly, and then they got the 6-3. But even the 2-out walk in the second inning, he came back and started throwing strikes.
2-2 pitch grounded right to short. Ibar has it, and it's Bourgeois.
Guess what Ibar learned in that first at bat, Terry? I have to get rid of it. Bourgeois can really get down that line, even from the right side.
Bourgeois got an infield hit on the ball that Ibar stopped closer to second base back in the bottom of the first inning. Here's Joey Votto, who walked his first time up.
Joey Votto is one of those guys that is good for the game of baseball that he's healthy.
And that was not the case last year. He missed 100 games last season. The pitch, he takes a big swing at that one and fouls it back.
And he's hacking.
Had a knee injury last season. And he's a guy who the Reds are highly invested in. Second year of a 10-year, $225 million deal. There's a pitch he went around on.
Votto, as you mentioned, limited to only 62 games last year. Still had a .390 on-base percentage, and his on-base percentage career is over 400.
Oh, 0-2 is the count. Lefty-lefty matchup. Next one on Votto. And that fastball just a little bit inside. Check the swing on it. 1-2 the count.
It's a good pitch right there. He's got him thinking slider, and he's diving in, getting out of the way.
Here's the next delivery, and that one is cut on and missed. He got him, struck him out.
Even if it was looking for it, it's about execution. Throwing his timing off. Excellent job there by Andrew Heaney.
That's his second strikeout today. He's retired 8 of the last 9, and boy, you have to be impressed with what you're seeing so far in his first outing this spring.
Especially the off speed right there on Votto.
So the batter is Dominguez. He bounced one back in front of the plate his first time up. Heaney hustled up the mound, got him out of first base, and the pitch in there for a strike. When we get to the top of the fourth, the Angels will have Iannetta, Cowgill, and Rutledge, and we'll see if the Reds go to Chapman, who's been warming up. There's one that's fouled back behind the plate.
Sorry, I was looking at Mike Trout in center field, and as Chapman is warming up, you can see Trout just like, wow. You can hear the glove popping, and probably very happy that his at-bat right now is out of the way.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't have to face him. Most likely will not face him.
There's a pitch a little bit outside.
Trout keeps looking in that direction as in, well, he's coming in, but I don't have to hit.
Here's the next pitch, and that one is waved at and missed. Chasing a pitch way out of the strike zone is Dominguez. Very impressive inning for Heaney. Pair of strikeouts and a clean bottom of the third. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left. So the fourth is next. Angels leading in Goodyear 3-1 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. We get ready to move to inning number 4 here in Goodyear, and sure enough, it is Aroldis Chapman to take over for Anthony DeScalafani. Chris Iannetta, Colin Cowgill, and Josh Rutledge will be the batters for the Angels. Pitching change, it's sponsored by Irvine Auto Center, where it's Markdown Madness time. Huge markdowns in every Irvine Auto Center store. Shop online at IrvineAutoCenter.com or visit them where the 5 meets the 405 at Lake Forest Drive in Irvine. First pitch, and that is fouled back behind the plate. I don't have a radar gun here that I'm aware of to see the velocity as far as Chapman is concerned. But
there's some scouts behind. Wish we could get a look at that.
He's the hardest thrower in the game right now, and that's been the case for several years. The pitch, and that one is a fastball that missed inside. 1-1 the count.
He's got an amazing arm. Less with the fact that he also is the guy that repeats his delivery. Former starting pitcher in Cuba.
Checking the swing is Iannetta, and on the appeal, they say he went around, so he's fallen behind 1-2.
Chapman in his career, 430 strikeouts in 252 2/3 innings. His career whip, walks, hits, innings pitched, 0.98.
And he's a guy who was around this time last March, as Iannetta fouls that one back behind the plate. Very scary situation. He was struck by a line drive in the face. It broke a bone above his left eye. Also, his nose was broken, had surgery, a titanium plate inserted at the facial fracture. Here's the next delivery, and that is inside. It misses.
You saw a bit of a Chapman's breaking ball there, but slider. Yeah, the scar, I mean, it went from one side of his scalp to the other. And he did not make his first appearance for the Reds last year until May 11th.
And the next delivery, that's low and inside. So it's a full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. This is Chapman's second appearance this spring, and the first outing, he struck out 3 batters in 1 inning. Not too surprising.
There's a shocker.
Here's the next delivery, and there is a swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Iannetta. So 4 outs have been recorded by Chapman so far this spring, and they've all come on strikeouts. That last pitch, we're told, 99 miles per hour.
Well, if you think baseball players don't watch other baseball players and there's somebody special on the mound or on the field, just take a look at the Angels dugout. Look at Mike Scioscia. It's like he also have some binoculars out there.
So the batter is Cowgill. He flied out to center his first time up. 3-1 Angels, top of the 4th. And there's a swing and a miss.
Cowgill says, well, I'm the little guy. You got to start me off with a slider? Kidding me?
And that's about all you'll see from Chapman, fastballs and sliders. Here's the next pitch. And that one a little bit inside.
A little bit more on that cut fastball. The way it looked from up here.
Chapman working exclusively from the stretch. And his pitch, that's fouled back behind the plate. So he's jumped in front. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
106 strikeouts, 54 innings last year. Only 1 home run allowed last season in 54 innings. And in case you're wondering, he has allowed 14 home runs in his career in the aforementioned 252 2/3 innings.
And the next pitch, a little bit outside. When you consider the fact that he struck out 53% of the batters that he faced, and it's not like guys in the big leagues can't swing the bat. I mean, that's amazing. Better than half the batters he faced last year he struck out.
And 90% of the time, you know what's coming.
Yeah. Just can't hit it. Here's the next delivery, and there's a swing and a miss, and another strikeout. So back-to-back against Iannetta and Cowgill.
Tell you what, Terry, very impressed by the fact that he's been able to change speed. Look at this changeup here. That is some action and some life on that one. That's a good fastball by most standards. You saw the grip from the beginning. Wow.
So here's Rutledge, who has a single. He scored a run. Let's pause for station identification on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. First delivery to Rutledge he was taking, and that fastball right in there for a called strike. Here's the next pitch, and that one is a fastball high. 1-1 the count.
And by the way, it wasn't all rosy for Chapman last season. He was 0-3. His career record is 15 wins and 16 losses.
But his career ERA, Jose, 2.40, as that one is cut on and missed.
And as a hitting coach, I mean, what can you tell hitters? You know what's coming. The less you do with your body, the better you are. Try to use your hands. You know, the fastball is going to look around the letters or around the waves, but before you know it's right on you, so the shorter the better. It's about all you can tell a hitter. Shorten up.
1-2 pitch. That's fouled off on the right side by Rutledge. He hangs in there. Check out the Dodge Out of Town scoreboards, brought to you by the 2015 Dodge Challenger. Cars that were meant to be driven. Go to Dodge.com or visit your local dealer to learn about exciting offers now available. In the Grapefruit League, Jose Bautista had a home run, but Toronto lost to Detroit 6-4. There's a pitch that misses high. Michael Pineda pitched well, and the Yankees win against Tampa Bay 4-3. Couple strikeouts in 2 innings for Pineda. He got the win.
Terry, they need to see a full season out of Michael Pineda to see what happens.
There's a pitch that is high and away. It's now 3-2 here on Rutledge.
They need to see a full season and no more pine tar incidents.
Yeah, Pineda has not pitched a full season since coming over from Seattle a few years ago. Here's the payoff delivery, and just getting a piece of that one. And staying alive is Rutledge, and the count 3-2. And also in Florida today in the Grapefruit League, Zach Wheeler had a pretty tough outing. Mets were beaten by Miami 13-2. Wheeler, the Mets starter, gave up 6 earned runs in just an inning and 2/3.
By the way, you talk about hard throwers from Cuba. Jose Fernandez taking some very positive strides in Marlins camp.
Here's the next delivery. It's lifted in the air, hit pretty well in the right center field, but going back, making the grab a few feet from the rim of the track is Jay Bruce, and that'll end the inning. It's been the deepest hit ball of the day, but a routine play as the Angels go down 1-2-3. We're headed down to the bottom of the 4th here in Goodyear. It's a 3-1 Angels lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. move to the bottom of the fourth inning, and a new pitcher for the Angels. He's making his Cactus League debut, Nick Tropiano, who the Angels acquired from the Houston Astros in the offseason. So a good day for Andrew Heaney in his first Cactus League appearance. He went 3 innings. He allowed just 1 hit, a run it was earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And he retired the final 4 in a row. And 9 of the last 10. Very impressive was Heaney today.
Very nice job. Very nice job bouncing back, keeping the ball down. Nothing in trying to impress too much. Stay within his game. And for the first time out with his new ball club, outstanding.
Angels have a shift on with Bruce batting. The left-handed batter, he takes the first one for ball 1. It's 1-0.
So here's another newcomer, Nick Tropiano. Bit of a funky delivery. You'll see the body go in one direction, then all of a sudden he just whips the arm.
Here's the next pitch, and it's popped in the air into left field, battling the sun out there, but now finding it and making the grab is Cowgill. So Bruce, an easy out, goes the opposite way.
Terry, welcome back, man. Sound way better.
Well, not quite back, but making strides, Jose.
Yeah, outstanding job by Darren Sutton.
Tip of the cap to D. Set for filling in the last couple of days, and he'll be involved in some of the Cactus League TV games coming up shortly as well.
Yeah, he will be hosting some of the Angels live after the game. So
right.
D-Sut, outstanding work. Good to catch up again.
Yeah, we kind of caught him on real short notice yesterday. Had to pull him away. I feel terrible about it from his daughter's soccer game, but I'm sure he sounded a lot better than I would have sounded yesterday, and really appreciate him pinch hitting again. Pitch was missed by Pena, and the count now on him is 1 ball, 1 strike. Switch hitter batting left, and he takes that pitch for a ball. Tropiano, he'll throw a sinker, slider. He has a split finger pitch he'll use. Very good changeup. Jose mentioned the funky delivery.
Oh, yes. He starts on the first base side of the rubber. And the arm's coming way from the other angle.
There's a pitch a little bit outside.
That is some good action there on the changeup. Chris Iannetta pointing with a glove. Hey, that's a good spot to miss if you're going to miss.
Tropiano from New York, grew up a Yankees fan. We won't hold that against him. Here's the pitch, and that one is chopped on the right side. Stopped there by Albert. Flips to Tropiano, and they get the easy out on Pena. 3-1 on the ground out. Zach Cozart will be the batter. Tropiano made 4 starts last year with the Astros, making his major league debut last season. Went 1-3, 4.57 ERA. And he had the top earned run average last year in the Pacific Coast League. ERA was 3.03. Former 5th round pick of the Houston Astros back in 2011. Went to Stony Brook University. It's a college in New York, which
the Joe Nathan School?
Yeah, produced Tigers closer Joe Nathan. First pitch of ball. It's 1 ball, no strikes on Cozart, who struck out his first time up. Angels have a 3-1 lead, bottom of the 4th. And here's the pitch, and that's outside. The pitching change here in this inning with Tropiano coming in. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Farmer John. You're tailgating under the Big A or watching the game at home, pick up Farmer John hot dogs, smoked dinner sausage. You get that authentic stadium taste anytime. Visit farmerjohn.com for recipes that are sure to be a home run. And there's a ball that's hit a long way foul down the left side.
Terry, don't be calling those down before they happen now.
Wow.
You be careful now.
That was a foul home run right there.
Careful with those reads out, Terry.
There was no doubt that was going to get over the fence, and you were just
the best part is it made a little girl with an Angels hat very happy. That's great.
Very good. Here's the next pitch, and a one-hopper hit right to second. Rutledge was playing perfectly near the second base bag. He'll throw out Cozart, and Tropiano has a clean bottom of the 4th. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left, so we move on to the 5th inning. Angels leading here in Goodyear 3-1 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. We get ready to move to inning number 5, and Aroldis Chapman is still out there. He faces Kyle Kubica.
Kubica probably thought, I have no chance of facing him. I'm done. I was on deck.
Little did he know, he leads off against him here in the 5th, and he takes that pitch for a ball.
One thing we know with Kubica, he will show that good eye. Well, with the idea of making him work.
Next delivery, takes that one and it misses. So the count 2 balls and 1 strike. There's a new first baseman for the Reds as Neftali Soto has come in to replace Joey Votto. His day is done. Mentioned at the top, this is a Reds split squad. They have another game scheduled later on in Arizona against Colorado. Here's a high pop out near second base. The shortstop is under. That's Cozart, and he will easily get Kubica on the pop out, and that's the first out here in the 5th.
We'll talk about Mike Trout watching from center field as Chapman was warming up, probably thinking, I don't have to face him. Guess what? There's nobody warming up, by the way, in the Reds bullpen. And number 27 is on deck.
Cole Calhoun, the batter. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to a Trout-Chapman matchup if we get to see it. Here's the pitch a little bit low.
I want to see the best against each other.
They do get some action in the bullpen.
It's like the highly anticipated, of course, Kershaw-Trout matchup. Now they're filming commercials together. Huh? MVPs. National League and American League.
Yeah. Chapman is ready, and the 2-0 on Calhoun. He cuts it down and fouls it back behind the plate. Fans, it's time once again to go around the grill with Albertsons to make picture-perfect burgers every time. Press a little indentation into the top of each raw patty with your thumb. This keeps the burger from puffing up in the middle when they cook. To deliver the ultimate burger every time. Around the grill, it's brought to you by Albertsons. You're in for something fresh. And there's a 2-hopper hit right to second. Easy play for Schumacher. And retired is Cole Calhoun.
There we go. This is pretty much like a regular season matchup coming up.
Yeah, so a marquee matchup right here. You got power against power. And you look at the dugouts now, and players are all starting to line up along the railings just to watch this.
You are a fan. I mean, Cincinnati Reds dugout, everybody's stepping out now, too.
I wonder why.
Look at this. Look at the migration here.
Here's the first one on Trout. That's low and inside.
Both sides, both dugouts on the railings.
More players just keep on filing up to that railing, especially on the red side.
That's great.
Here's the next one on Trout. That fastball he takes, that's in there. 1-1 the count. Infield is backed up. The outfield is shading Trout a little bit the opposite way. Pretty deep in the outfield. Chapman's next pitch, and that one misses.
You can tell part of the plan with Chapman today is of course, to go out there and get some fastball command, but also I like the way he's been going about getting the work of the off speed in the field, including a cut fastball. He's throwing some sliders, changeups, and here comes number 1.
Here's the next pitch, and Trout fouls that one off the screen. 2-2 the count.
And Trout immediately turns back and asks home plate umpire John Byrne if that was a strike.
Albert Pujols would be up next if Trout can get on against Chapman, who's retired all 5 he's faced. Next pitch, grounded on the third base side. It's deep, long throw by Dominguez, and it's not handled by the new first baseman Soto. So Trout is on. That'll be an infield hit, and that'll give Pujols a shot to face Aroldis Chapman as well. Mike Trout gets an infield single.
There we go. Pujols, of course, spent a lot of time in the National League.
Albert's having a good day today. This could be his last at bat. He's 2 for 2. He has a pair of singles and a pair of RBIs.
Albert's making some good passes through the zone.
First pitch fastball high. 1-0 the count.
In regular season career, Pujols is 1 for 3 against Aroldis Chapman. Trout, as we saw before, 1 for 2 in regular season against Chapman.
Good size lead for Trout. Not running though. The pitch outside. 2-0 the count on Pujols. 5th inning, 3-1 Angels.
About that, back-to-back MVPs. Pujols, Trout, and everybody watching the matchup here too. As a future Hall of Famer steps up at number 5 for the Angels.
There's a toss over to first base. Diving back goes Trout. Even a little bit of drama in a Cactus League game today.
It's like I want to shut the microphones off and just watch this.
Yeah. Chapman is ready, and his next pitch way high and outside. So he has yet to throw a strike to Albert. He's worked a 3-0 count. Ibar would be up next.
Angels saw Chapman not long ago in the regular season as the Angels opened the season in Cincinnati a couple of years ago.
Here's a 3-0. Taking it all the way as Pujols that's in there, 3-1.
Took something off of it at 95.
So Albert's yet to get a cut in here. And the next pitch, he swings at that one and drills it into right field. But going back, making the catch is Jay Bruce. And that's how the inning will end. Pujols hit it hard. He lines out. The inning is over, and that's probably it for Chapman as well. No runs. The Angels have the Trout infield hit. No errors and leave a runner. Bottom of the 5th is next. 3-1 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Bottom of the 5th we go. 3-1 Angels on top. Nick Tropiano getting ready for inning number 2. And he is set with his first pitch in his 2nd inning of work. That one is a little bit low. Schumacher is the batter. He'll be followed by Rodriguez and then Skipworth. It's the bottom 3rd of the batting order for the Cincinnati Reds. They have the red tops with the white pants. The Angels have the red tops with the gray pants, and the pitch. That ball is lifted and hit well in the right center field. That one is out by the wall out in right center field and off the wall. Going into second, making the turn and stopping there is Schumacher. So he has a leadoff double. Not a guy with a whole lot of power, only 2 home runs last season, but he hit that one hard.
The sinker ball pitcher getting something elevated. Not a lot of velocity. A nice job there covering the outer half of the plate. Just timing it exactly right up against the wall. Strange carom there is Mike Trout not ready for that one. Since you don't repeat so much action around ballparks in the Cactus League and all throughout spring training, a lot of times you just don't know what the ball's going to do hitting the padding.
It's only the second Reds hit of the day and their first one since the first inning. And cutting at the pitch is Rodriguez. He just fouled it off on the right side. He walked his first time up.
So Tropiano, Terry, a line of pitchers that have been paraded by the Angels. And Angels general manager Derek Dipoto making the point this offseason. Let's get deeper with our starting pitching. So we've seen potential starters: Santiago, Weaver, Wilson, Shoemaker, Heaney, Alvarez, Rasmus, Tropiano, and Rosinski.
Here's the pitch. That's bounced off the plate. A fair ball. It's bouncing out towards second. Stopping it is Rutledge. His throw will be in time to get Rodriguez, but Schumacher moves over to third on the 4-3 ground out, and Skipworth will be the next batter. Today's game being brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. Fresh cut fries from real potatoes, shakes made with real ice cream, fresh toasted buns, and pure beef patties at In-N-Out. That's what a freshness is all about. Why not stop in after the game? So here is Skipworth, who flied out to left his first time up. The pitch, and a swing and a miss. Snap throw to third. Diving back to the bag goes Schumacher as Iannetta rifle to throw up to Kubica, the third baseman.
So once again, going through that list of potential starters for the Angels, of course. Angels looking to get 5, but Santiago, Weaver, Wilson, Shoemaker, Heaney, Alvarez, Rasmus, Tropiano, Rosinski.
Here's the pitch, and that is hit well into center field. It is hit a ton out there and gone. Blast to center off the bat of Skipworth. 2-run homer. And that ties up the game at 3. Nothing cheap about that one.
Just looked like a quick drop of the barrel. Really exploded off of it. Look at what Schumacher did. Lefty. And now Skipworth. You talk about location, pretty much around the same area. Close to the eyes, very little movement, flat on the zone, crushed.
That one pretty much cleared the grass berm out there in center field. That ball was hit. That was a good 440 or so out there. So at the plate is Bourgeois, and here's the pitch. He takes the 1-0 outside. It's 1-1, so new ball game, 3-3 score. Tropiano had a 1-2-3 fourth inning, but a couple balls hit hard against him in this inning. And there's another one that's lifted high and deep into left field. That is out by the wall and gone. Back-to-back homers. Skipworth and Bourgeois, who is really not known at all for his power, is disconnected, and the Reds are on top 4-3.
Of course, that's a price you pay as a guy that depends on movement, and when you're not getting that, especially here in the unforgiving thin air in Arizona, and the ball taken off with contact. Yeah, for Tropiano, who had an easy inning, as you mentioned, Terry, this has been one where maybe he's trying to throw a little bit too hard. It's nice and easy in the fourth inning, just getting a feel for the mound and the zone, now elevating and paying the price.
Batter is Neftali Soto. He goes after the first pitch, lifts it into right center. Trout is going to make the running catch. Good job by Mike in medium right center. He had to get on his horse to flag that one down, so that's the second out. Chris Dominguez will be the next batter.
It was a pretty good jump there by Mike Trout. Reading the swing inside out, that ball's slicing and mainly calling it early from where he started to where he had to go and end up. That's a good distance.
Right-hander against right-hander. Pitch on Dominguez, and that one framed by Iannetta, but it misses for a ball. When the Angels bat in inning number 6, trailing right now 4-3. Ibar, Crone, and Iannetta, and we'll see the Reds likely go to their bullpen. There's a bouncer foul on the third base side. 1 ball, 1 strike to count on Chris Dominguez.
Well, Terry, pretty soon we might be seeing real live action from Garrett Richards. So today, his pitching coach Mike Butcher said he passed another hurdle.
Here's the pitch, chopped out towards short. Should be the inning. Ibar has it. His throw will easily get Dominguez, and the inning will end on a 6-3 groundout. But some damage for the Reds. They get 3 runs. They had back-to-back homers in the inning, 3 hits overall. There were no errors and nobody left. 5 complete. The 6th is next. 4-3 Cincinnati on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Top of the 6th we go here at Goodyear Ballpark. Angels down by a run 4-3. And the Reds will go with their 3rd pitcher of the day, Burke Badenhop. He was with the Red Sox last season, got into 70 games for them last year, and had a very good ERA last season, 2.29.
They call him the hopper. Did you see what happened as he was hopping in here?
I did. When he was coming in from the left center field bullpen, he nearly tripped and fell down, and everybody got a kick out of that. Kept his balance, though. He was about ready to go face first. Here's Ibar batting against him, and the first pitch, that one is taken for a ball.
He's one of those guys that does not take for granted any day in the big leagues, and he is a very animated character on that mound.
Right-hander's next delivery, and that one is low and in.
Hopper's not afraid to turn around and tell his infielders and outfielders to move around himself. He creates his own shift.
Big right-handed reliever, goes 6'5", delivers that one outside. And he's a guy who has appeared in a lot of games. The Reds are his 4th team in the last 4 seasons. Here's the delivery, and Ibar takes that one for a called strike. Eric today has an RBI hit and 2 times up. And the next pitch, he chops that one foul over on the first base side. We've yet to get the official attendance today. Fair crowd here today. And we mentioned the Reds share this facility with the Indians. So there's a game at this ballpark every day, whether it's a Reds home game or an Indians home game.
This part of town just keeps growing and growing. Every spring we see more and more communities springing up.
Here's the next pitch, and that's a liner into right field. It's another hit for Ibar. So he is on with a leadoff single. C.J. Cron will be the next batter.
Eric Ibar hitting fourth today. In case you tuned in late, Ibar did that twice last year, batting from a cleanup spot in the regular season for the Angels.
Badenhop, in his first appearance this spring for the Reds, got knocked around 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, gave up a home run, and suffered a loss in relief. So we'll see what the Angels can do against him. And there's a pitch taken for a ball by Crone. Taylor Featherston has come in to run for Eric Ibar, and he might end up replacing him at shortstop as well.
He's a young player that has looked really good in camp, vying for a spot.
Rule 5 player, Taylor Featherston. So Ibar's day ends. He was 2 for 3 with a run batted in. Runner goes in. Hit and run. Single into right field off the bat of Crone. Easily moving over to third is Featherston, and that one worked to perfection right there. Crone's first hit of the day. Runners at the corners, nobody out. The Angels threatening here against Badenhop, and the batter will be Iannetta.
Good bat control and great plate coverage all the way around there by C.J. Crone. Runners in motion. We've seen more of this almost like in the second half of the game for Mike Scioscia here the last 4 games. And C.J. Crone has been the beneficiary of a couple of those runners in motion in front of him. It's 2 for 2 on hit and runs.
Here's Iannetta. He's had an 0 for 2 day. Takes the first pitch low and outside from Badenhop. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He'll throw a slider, cut fastball, and changeup. Ground ball pitcher. Right-hander against right-hander. Next one on Iannetta. That's a called strike.
Well, that pitch came right back over the plate. In fact, it might have fooled his catcher, Skipworth, on the way he received that pitch. And that's what Badenhop lives off of. Location, movement, down in the zone.
1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the pitch, and fooled on that off-speed delivery was Iannetta. He took kind of a half swing at that one. He's in the hole, 1-2.
Very tight spin. After seeing the two-seamer come back over the plate, he was anticipating maybe, because he saw the same location, same lane, same pitch, but it was not. A very tight breaking ball.
Angels down by a run, 4-3, but an opportunity here to tie it, maybe get the lead. There's a pitch that popped off the mid of the catcher Skipworth for a ball. 2-2 count. Cowgill waiting on deck.
Chris Iannetta last season, one of the toughest Angels hitters with runners in scoring position. Hit .320, and of course an enviable on-base percentage of .373.
Here's the next delivery, and that one is taken, and it misses. So it's a full count, 3-2.
Iannetta not only helped the Angels with some clutch hits, but also by keeping innings alive with those 22 walks with runners in scoring position.
So we'll see what gives on the 3-2. It's on its way, and it's lifted and hit well into right field. That one is out by the wall and right, and it bangs high off the wall. The ball in play. A run is scored. Angels have another runner breaking for the plate. The throw and gunned down, trying to come all the way in from first base is C.J. Crone. Iannetta ends up at second.
And Mike Scioscia jumped, and what he wanted to know is about that lane. Here we go. You know, those rules that were implemented last year with the catchers, and Mike Scioscia not necessarily going to argue, but just go ask about where the catcher was as he was receiving the throw, if the lane was open or not for the runner. There's so many more things catchers have to think about nowadays. It's unbelievable. And not forgetting the fact that Iannetta, catcher himself, does another fine job, Terry, going the other way and driving in another run.
So the game is tied at 4. Featherston easily scoring from second. Crone tried to come in all the way from first, but it's thrown out at the plate, and Iannetta ends up at second base with the RBI hit. Here's Cowgill batting, and the pitch, that one is a ball.
That errant throw. The Reds are pretty lucky that they came out with an out there.
Play ends up getting Crone, right fielder, to third baseman, and then his throw to the catcher. 4-4 the score. Angels have had 3 straight hits in this inning, but there is an out. And the next pitch, Cowgill bounces that one foul over on the left side. Fans, don't forget, you can win a 2-night stay, 1 round of golf, dinner for 2 at the Fantasy Springs Resort Casino in Palm Springs. You can sign up. Just send a text message with the words AM 830 Fantasy to 50342. The first contestant will be announced Monday, April the 6th. To view the official rules, visit am830.net. Use the keyword fantasy. Cowgill with a bouncer off the glove of the third baseman Dominguez. The ball caroms into shallow left field. Retrieving it is Cozart. On at first base will be Cowgill, and Iannetta, the runner at second, remains there.
Did a good job reading that. Iannetta instinctively thought, well, the ball goes by the third baseman. Let me go ahead and take off. Well, it's not automatic. He knew also who was backing it up. It'll go down as an error on third baseman Dominguez. And after a very over-aggressive base running by Crone, this is a more conservative approach and smart approach by Chris Iannetta.
So here's Rutledge set to bat with 2 on, runners at first and second. A run in and 1 out. Here's the pitch, and that's in there for a called strike. Every batter that Badenhop has faced so far in this inning has reached base safely. Right-hander against right-hander. Pitch on Rutledge. He chops it on the third base side. A foul ball. Tomorrow, the Angels' Cactus League schedule will continue, and the Angels will be back at Tempe Diablo to take on the Texas Rangers for the first time this spring. Hector Santiago goes for the Halos. Giovanni Gallardo, formerly of the Milwaukee Brewers, now with Texas, will get the start for the Rangers. There's a pitch a little bit low. Wednesday, Jared Weaver goes for the Angels against the D-backs. That game at Salt River Fields. Angels will then have 3 straight games at Tempe Diablo against the Cubs, the Padres, and on Saturday, a split squad day with a home game against the White Sox and 1 on the road against the Royals. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count.
It's good to see all these regular faces make the trip out here. You're paid to play.
Here's the pitch, and that one is a swing and a miss. Breaking ball gets Rutledge, struck him out. Second out in the inning.
And that, Terry, of course, is part of what Don Baylor brings as a hitting coach. Is he wanted regular players to see a lot of action, get more at bats, make sure those calluses, blisters, get them out of the way, get your legs not just ready to run but ready to hit. And that's why since last spring things have changed a little bit in the way that regular players have been used on back-to-back days. It's good.
The pitch in there for a called strike on Kubica, who's flied out and popped out. A hit would figure to give the Angels the lead. Iannetta's the lead runner. He has average speed at best. He's at second. Here's the pitch, and a cut and a miss. So it's 0-2 on Kubica. Badenhop's throwing a lot of pitches in this inning. There's another one that bounces in. Good stop by the catcher, Skipworth. He kept it to his side. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A lot of work here in Arizona with the catchers for every organization. A little tougher, more challenging as the ground gets a little bit harder here as the Cactus League progresses. There's some tough reads, Terry. A lot of thumbs. Got a piece of some baseballs.
And the next delivery, that's a swing and a miss. And down on strikes goes Kubica, and back-to-back strikeouts for Badenhop. Angels settle for the tying run, had 3 hits, 1 error. And in the inning, the Angels Angels will end up leaving 2 runners on base. We're headed to the bottom of the 6th inning. 4-4 here in Goodyear on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Number of changes for the Angels as we get set to move to the bottom of the 6th inning. 4-4 ball game. Tropiano is still the Angel pitcher, new right side of the infield with Navarro at first and Giavatella playing second base. Ryan Wheeler has also come into the game to play third, and Taylor Featherston remains in the ball game to take over at short. There's a pitch that's in there for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to count.
So it's going to be up to the second wave of Angels here to try to get it done, keep the score where it is, and get some runs.
Charlie Cutler is the new Angel catcher.
And we also see the first shift of the day. Johnny Giavatella over in short right field now, playing second base for the Angels.
Here's a pitch on its way. That's lifted in the air into left field and right at the Angels left fielder.
Mark Krause makes the play in left field. And the ball hit the other way on a line. Solid at bat there.
Krause out there in left field. Daniel Robertson is now in center field. And Roger Kieschnick is in right field. And there's one lifted in the air to right, and it's hit well. Kieschnick is back at the wall, jumps up, and makes the grab. Wow. Nicely done by the new right fielder, Kieschnick. That ball wasn't going to leave, but it would have hit high off the top part of the wall. And that is out number 2.
Brian Pena thought he had it. At least the ball hitting off the wall. Timed perfectly. What a tough play. And coming right into the game and be able to get into the action, fight the sun and stay right with it. Tip your cap. Nice job, Kieschnick.
So the 2 new corner outfielders have had plays here in this bottom of the 6th inning. 4-4 ball game. Cozart at the plate. His day 0 for 2. And the pitch from Tropiano, and that one is in there for a called strike. After giving up the back-to-back homers last inning, Tropiano has now retired the last 4 in a row.
And the last 2, though, were a little scary. He's still pitching way too high in the zone.
Yeah.
Line drive by Bruce out to left field, and this deep fly ball by Brian Pena. And again, this is his first outing. He is getting stretched out. He's supposed to be starting. and vying for a spot in the Angels rotation. Regardless, he's going to get his work in.
The bouncer foul over on the left side. Tropiano in his third inning of relief. The starter, Andrew Heaney, worked the first 3. And he did a good job. Only gave up 1 hit. It was an infield hit, allowed a run. Here's the 1-2 on Cozart. Grounded right to the new second baseman. Giovitella has it. His throw will get him, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. No runs, hits, or errors, and nobody left. 7th inning is coming up in Goodyear. We're tied at 4 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
Driven.
Effort.
Fans, don't forget to get your red on and make the Big A your group destination in 2015. An Angels group outing is the perfect way to entertain clients, promote teamwork, strengthen relationships, and boost morale while experiencing an unforgettable event. As low as $6, tickets can be purchased per seat. Companies, schools, churches, and teams will all enjoy special group benefits when bringing 20 or more people to Angel Stadium. Book your group outing. Call 888-796-HALO or visit angels.com/groups. The Reds have made a few changes as Johnny Giovitella gets ready to lead things off. He's hitting out of Cole Calhoun's spot. Calhoun went 1 for 3 today. And the next delivery, that one pitch that misses again, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes.
You'll recall Jose Mijares with the Minnesota Twins. For one time, a very effective and dependable reliever for Ron Gardenhire.
He is the new pitcher for Cincinnati, and the pitch, that one is lifted high and hit well in the left field. Going back is the left fielder, and that ball is gone. Johnny Giovitella has just hit one into the bullpen, and a leadoff homer gives the Angels the lead back. It's now 5-4.
One of those Popeyes forearms putting a hurt on the baseball here. That was a good sound of the bat from Johnny Giovitella. Fastball up in the zone, wasting no time getting around it. Coming to the game, Keesha makes a great play. Giovitella goes deep. Terry, is that easy?
Daniel Robertson is the batter, and he was checking the swing on that one. They say he was holding. Mentioned the Reds making a few moves. They have the new pitcher, Harris, on the hill. They have a new shortstop, Irving Falou. And it looks like they have a new left fielder out there as well.
This is when you know you are in spring training. Get ready.
There's a ball sharply hit, but a foul ball on the third base side.
The fun thing is that a lot of these names that we may not be familiar with at this point, we'll get to see during the season on both teams.
New right fielder is Juan Duran for Cincinnati.
Terry, consider what happened with the Texas Rangers last year with all the injuries. Ended up using a plethora of players. Pretty much went through the whole system to get help. Something like over 60 players.
They used 64 players last year, an all-time major league record. They used an all-time major league record 40 pitchers.
There you go.
And an all-time major league record 11 first basemen. Here's a ball grounded to short, and Falou will throw to first base, and Robertson an easy out. That's a first out.
I recall talking to the Angels general manager Jerry Dipoto last year, and he goes, one of the first things I tell players as we begin camp is for the big league club to be successful, it's going to take more than 25 guys. And we saw it. Why? Terry, one of the first call-ups last year for the Angels was a guy named Yoslan Herrera. Okay?
Yeah.
Herrera. Barely pitching camp. He was more of a backup guy. Was not even in big league camp. He was called in to fill in once in a while. Before you know it, early in the season, he's in the big leagues. Saw a couple guys that were taken off the roster come in. One did Michael Roth.
A pitch taken for a ball. This is Efren Navarro batting for the Angels. His first time up. He's hitting out of Pujols' number 3 spot. Albert had a good ball game, 2 for 3, pair of RBIs. Here's the next one from Maharis, and that's lifted high and hit well into right field. Chasing hard after it and making the running catch is Juan Duran. His momentum takes him out near the warning track down in that right field corner. It's a second out. There's a new catcher in the ball game for the Reds. They've replaced Skipworth with Ramon Cabrera.
Every time you say Ramon, I'm thinking you're going to say Ramon Ortiz. Good buddy.
Where is he pitching this year? I'm sure he's still playing somewhere.
He pitched winter ball. He's probably going to end up in Mexico. You know, Ramon was ended up pitching in Tijuana last summer.
Yeah.
Along with another former Angel, Russell Branyan was on that team.
That's right. Taylor Featherston is the batter. This is his first at bat. He came in as a pinch runner for Eric Ibar in his last inning, and there's a cut and a miss. No balls, 2 strikes. Top of the 7th inning. It's being brought to you by Roto-Rooter. Leaky pipes, clogs, backups, and bad water heater. Call Roto-Rooter at 1-800-GET-ROTO, and away go troubles down the drain. Here's the next pitch, and it's grounded on the left side and through for a base hit. So Featherston has a hit his first time up.
He's been doing a good job swinging the bat, man. He's, in fact, leads the Angels coming into today with 3 RBIs. Now 2 for 5. Not afraid to swing the bat, man. He lets it go. Under control.
The Reds also have a new third baseman, and his name is Gavin LaValle. So I think we're all caught up with the Cincinnati moves here. Runner goes, pitch a strike, throw to second, and safe. A stolen base. Featherston.
Well, young man, go out there and show everybody in that brass what you're made about and why they went out and made an effort to acquire you. Versatility. He's shown a solid bat. And now, first move, taking a chance and making it safely. Good speed.
Well, Harris is ready. And now stepping out of the batter's box is Grant Green, who is hitting out of C.J. Cron's spot. That was the DH spot, the number 5 spot. Cron went 1 for 3 today. Pitch on Green in there for a called strike.
Give Grant Green a lot of credit, too. As you see a guy in front of you have that kind of jump, you better not be swinging. There's a lot of hitters who, of course, don't believe in that. And it's all about if he makes a good pitch, I want to swing. But certainly, most times than not, just let that guy get to second base.
Here's the pitch, chopped foul over on the left side. See Carlos Perez waiting on deck for the Angels. Count on Green, no balls, 2 strikes, 5-4 Angels lead here in the 7th. Game, it's gone back and forth today here in Goodyear as that one is ripped foul on the right side, backing out of play. Maharis trying to keep his big league career going. Signed with the Reds as a free agent.
He is much bigger than the last time we saw him.
And they have another reliever on this Cincinnati club who is a big guy as well.
And his name is Jumbo Diaz.
Pitch was cut on and missed by Green. He goes down on strikes, and that will end the inning. Angels get a run on the leadoff homer by Giamatello to give the Angels the lead. 2 hits in the inning, no errors, and 1 runner left. 7th inning stretch time in Goodyear. Bottom of the 7th we go. 5-4 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels will go to the bullpen and bring in pitcher number 3 of the day. Cesar Ramos takes over, and his first pitch on Irving Falou. That one is taken, and it misses ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Call to the bullpen here in the bottom of the 7th, being brought to you by Farmer John. You're tailgating under the Big A, watching the game at home. Pick up Farmer John hot dogs and smoked dinner sausage to get that authentic stadium taste anytime. Visit farmerjohn.com for recipes that are sure to be a home run. Falou at the plate. This is his first time up today. Ramos is ready, and here's the lefty's pitch. And that is right in there for a called strike.
Falou out of Puerto Rico has gotten some big league time with the Royals. Back in 2012, 2013, then Milwaukee and San Diego last year. Versatile player.
Ramos set. Angels got him from the Rays in the offseason, and there's a ground ball right by him and threw into center field. So Falou is on with the leadoff single. Yorman Rodriguez. This is his spot in the batting order. He's still in the ball game. He will step up. Let's pause for station identification on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. First pitch to Rodriguez. He lifts one down the right field side, and the catch is made down in that right field corner area by Kieschnick. Lazy fly ball, fairly tight to the line. One pitch retires Rodriguez.
It was good to see Cesar Ramos, who will be a part of the Angels bullpen, most likely the only lefty out of that bullpen. When we talk about versatility, here's a guy that throughout his career has done whatever has been called, from starting to relieving. Spot start, specialty lefty, long relief, you name it.
This is Juan Duran batting for the first time today. He's hitting out of the 9-hole. And the first pitch, a ball to count 1-0.
Ramos has been part of the Padres, the Rays, now the Angels, another Long Beach State product in El Rancho High School.
Here's the pitch. Runner at first goes, and the pitch not handled cleanly by the Angels catcher Cutler. So moving up to second without a throw will be Falou, who'll get a stolen base.
Not the best job of receiving the ball there. And Mike Scioscia not too pleased there with his young catcher Perez. The effort put into receiving that one.
Pickoff toss to second, and Falou dives back to the bag.
Good to see that move here. As takes us to something Mike Butcher, the Angels pitching coach, told us today, Terry, that they worked on that inside move today with Garrett Richards, among many other things that were thrown at Garrett. Earlier this morning over at the Tempe Diablo Stadium in the backfields, as he continues to progress and pretty much overcoming everything step by step that's been thrown at him. Richards in good hands and progressing. Saturday threw 30 pitches to a few hitters. Live BP. Next session should be a pitching session with around 40 pitches where they will simulate 2 innings for him. It's all good news.
The pitch in there for a called strike. Well, Garrett Richards has not had any issues here in every facet of coming back from his injury.
And what a turnaround in his career from what he was the first couple of seasons with very inconsistent outings and starts and relieving and closing and all the kind of things he did until last year.
Here's a bouncer hit to third, handled by Ryan Wheeler. His throw is high, and it takes Navarro off the bag. He had to jump up to catch that high throw. By the time he came back down, the batter beats the throw. It's an error all the way on the Angels' new third baseman, Ryan Wheeler. So.
Well, Wheeler took care of the first thing, which is a tough hop in between, but played it right. But his feet were not set well enough to make a better throw.
First error of the day for the Angels. 2 on base on that play. Falou, who was the runner at second, did not advance. And the batter now batting for the first time in the game is Josh Satin.
You see Mike Scioscia getting a little bit more, I want to say irritated. His face is getting a little bit more serious here this inning.
Runner goes at third, and the pitch, it pops up the glove of the catcher. And a stolen base there for Irving Falou. He's had a couple here in this inning.
And for Mike Scioscia, who continues to take his notes as he brings these young players in, is about how they're playing the game, not necessarily what happens or if it leads to a win or not, but make sure you're in the right spot, anticipate some plays. Once again, Perez behind the plate having some trouble.
So runners at the corners now. Here's the pitch, and that one is right in there on Satin for a called strike. Ramos trying to get out of what is turning into a bit of a difficult inning, and there's a ground ball. It's hit to short, could be two, flip to second, relay to first, and he gets out of a difficult inning. A tailor-made double play ball hit the Featherston, and the Angels turn it easily 6-4-3 to end the inning. So after all that, for the Reds, they failed to score. No runs. They had a hit. There was an error. There were 2 stolen bases in the inning, and they leave a pair on. We're headed to the 8th here in Goodyear. Angels are clinging to a 5-4 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. New pitcher for Cincinnati as we go to the 8th. The Angels have a 5-4 lead. His name is Nick Travieso, and he is one of the better pitching prospects in the Reds organization. Has a good arm, fastball. He'll reach the upper 90s, so we'll see that today, I'm sure. He was their first-round pick in 2012.
A little ramped up. We'll see it.
14-game winner in the minors last year, Travieso. So he's ready, and the right-hander's first pitch. That is a called strike on Carlos Perez, who's batting for the first time today. Here's the next delivery, and that one misses for a ball. The pitching change sponsored by Irvine Auto Center's March Markdown Madness, where 5,000 new and used vehicles to choose from, and huge markdowns all month long. There's a high hopper to third, fielded there by LaValle, and this throw will easily get Perez for the first out. 5-3 on the ground out. Ryan Wheeler will be the next batter. Want to remind you, shop online at IrvineAutoCenter.com or visit them where the 5 meets the 405 at Lake Forest Drive in Irvine. Wheeler's first at bat today. He's hitting out of Cowgill's spot. Cowgill went 0 for 3. And the pitch, that's a little bit low for a ball.
Traviesa on the mound. Impressive 14-5 last season at Dayton Single A. 26 starts. Even more impressive, only Terry 44 walks in 142 and 2/3 innings, allowing only 123 hits. That's good. With the good arm, the good size, out of Pembroke Pines in Florida. 6'2", 225. He is out there throwing hard and throwing strikes. To have that ratio in A ball is pretty solid.
Here's the next pitch, and it's grounded sharply, but right to second. Going down to stop it is the second baseman, and the throw in time. So 2 quick outs, couple of ground ball outs. Like Shane Marderosian is now playing second base for Cincinnati.
That's what it is, Shane Marderosian.
Here's the pitch. This is Krause batting for the first time today. And the first pitch of ball to him. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Delivery. That fastball misses high.
You can see his delivery. Pretty solid, compact. Also starts on the first base side of the mound. His feet spread. Turns sideways a little bit and blows up nicely with that leading leg pointing straight. He's got a pretty good pitching coach in his manager himself, Brian Price. Well-respected pitching coach before he became the manager of the Cincinnati Reds.
Here's the next pitch, and that one is in there for a strike. It'll be interesting to see how the Reds do this season. They're not getting a whole lot of backers as far as where the teams might shake out in the National League Central. They were in 4th place last year. They finished 10 games under 500 last year. Next delivery, it's fouled back behind the plate.
As we mentioned earlier, too, they got to replace an Alfredo Simon that really came into his own last year, became an all-star Simon, and Matt Latos. But they do have the anchor, Johnny Cueto, the 20-game winner. Seems like nobody talks about.
A pitch that is low, ball 4. So the Ohio native Krause ends up getting a walk. And here's Kieschnick.
So among the talks here early in camp was when Johnny Cueto said, yes, Terry, he'd like to have a new contract. Look at the numbers, what he's done, and what pitchers are getting paid nowadays. And one of his biggest backers immediately was his manager, saying, yes, look where he is. He's one of the elite pitchers in baseball.
R.B. Myers is the pinch runner. We've seen him running quite a bit this spring in the early going, and there's a shot into right field. That's a base hit for Kieschnick. Myers is headed for third, beats the throw, and hustling up to second is Kieschnick. Very aggressive base running by the Angels all day long, and it's not ending here in the late stages of this game.
You have to see what these young players bring. So much energy. Remember, it all started with the regular guys going to first and thirds, running aggressively. So Pujols do it. So Rutledge do it. Mike Trout, Iannetta. Just follow the baseball. As they tell you, don't put your head down and be happy when you get that single. Go back there and slap hands with your first base coach. Follow, track, and the flight of those throws.
So Giovitella, who gave the Angels the lead last inning with a leadoff homer, can do some more damage here. 2 outs, runners at second and third. Base hit could mean a couple runs. Angels have a 5-4 lead in the 8th. And the pitch, that's a little bit outside.
Giovitella came into this game having gone 1 for 6, so a long home run. That'll be boosting the confidence for a guy who's been a good hitter in the minor leagues.
Takes that pitch for a ball.
And, of course, boosting his confidence as long as he doesn't think he's now a home run hitter. Career average over 300 in the minors.
Travieso ready, and the pitch. That is up and in. So he's behind on Giavotella. 3 balls, no strikes. This is the first spring appearance for the former first-round pick of the Reds, Nick Travieso. A 3-0 delivery, and that's right in there for a called strike. Travieso's pitcher number 5 of the day for Cincinnati. After Giavotella, Robertson waiting on deck with 2 outs. 3-1 pitch. Low, ball 4. So the Angels have done all this after Travieso had retired the first 2 batters on routine groundouts. A walk with 2 outs. The single by Kieschnick with 2 outs. Now another walk with 2 away to Giavotella. And Robertson has a chance to do some serious damage here with 2 away.
Well, talking to some of the members of the Angels staff, they have been very impressed by Robertson and what he's brought. Short, stocky, powerful. And a guy that certainly plays hard out every single time out.
First pitch, he takes it low and outside. He's gone 0 for 1 since coming in. He's batting out at Trout's spot. Trout was in action today for 3 at-bats. Officially 1 for 2. He had a single, a walk, scored a run, and also grounded out. And the pitch. Just a little hop that's stopped on 1 hop by the first baseman Soto, and then the flip over to second to Falou. And they will get the force out there on Giavotella, and that'll end the inning. So fielder's choice will end it. It goes 3-6 over at second to end the inning. So the Angels had a threat, but failed to score. No runs in the inning. The Angels had 1 hit, couple walks, and end up leaving the bases loaded. The bottom of the 8th is coming up here in Goodyear. It's a 5-4 Angels lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Matt Lindstrom, hard-throwing right-hander, is the new Angels pitcher. This is his 2nd appearance this spring, and he delivers the first pitch to Natali Soto, who's been playing first base for a few innings now for the Reds. And Soto 0 for 1 since coming in. Takes the first pitch for ball 1. The 1-0 delivery. That's high. 2 balls, no strikes. Bottom of the 8th inning being brought to you by Chronic Tacos Mexican Grill, using 3rd-generation recipes and packed with your favorite fresh ingredients. That's Chronic Tacos. For a location near you, go to eatchronictacos.com and live the taco life. Pitch was fouled off by Soto.
If you're Mike Socha saying Vomino, he's talking to his catcher.
Here's the next pitch, and that breaking ball missed.
Lindstrom providing the Angels an opportunity here to throw to a young catcher, Perez, and here's where you're, as a pitcher, you want to see your catcher move around and accommodate you a little bit better.
Next delivery, grounded fair on the third base side, out of the reach of Wheeler. It's going to roll down into left field, making a turn, but stopping at first base is Soto, and he has a leadoff single to start off the Reds' 8th inning.
Heavy sinker ball there by Lindstrom. He just did catch way too much of the plate. Maybe that's one session where Mike Socha wanted his catcher to get off the plate a little bit more in the inner half, so his pitcher has something of a better target to throw to.
Ramon Cabrera is the batter. He came in behind the plate, and this is his first time up today. Swings from the left side, and the pitch right in there for a called strike.
Lindstrom vying for a spot in the Angels bullpen. Provides a lot of experience. Former closer. Been around different organizations. Saved 23 games for the Astros back in 2010. He's been with Florida, Houston, Colorado, Baltimore, Arizona, and last 2 seasons with the White Sox.
That pitch in there for a called strike.
His numbers with a powerful fastball and some heavy sinking action we've seen here this spring in his career. 420 and 2/3 innings, 327 strikeouts.
Angels up 5-4 here, bottom of the 8th. The pitch, cut and a miss, and down on strikes goes Cabrera. That's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 8th. That ball had some good late movement low.
Breaking ball. Very good job there by his young catcher, too. Giving him a nice low target. Terry, it's school for young catchers and veterans alike. Every single day, every pitch under Mike Socha's eye.
Here's LaValle batting, and he chops the first one foul on the third base side. LaValle is hitting out of Jay Bruce's cleanup spot, and this is his first time up today for Cincinnati.
Coaching first for the Reds, a name that many will recognize. The Lion of the Shields. The man will be forever tied to the big trade for Pedro Martinez. When Pedro Martinez went from the Dodgers to the Expos, the Shields could really run. Had a solid career. Had 6 seasons, the line of 40 or more stolen bases. Something you don't see very often nowadays, but ended up also playing with the Dodgers, Cardinals, Orioles, Cubs. Over 1,600 career games in the big leagues for Delino.
Here's a cut and a miss by LaValle.
And serves as their AAA manager.
Lindstrom way in front. 0-2 the count. Here's the 2-strike pitch. That one misses. Snap throw to first base. Diving back to the bag goes the runner over there, Soto. The Ram out-of-town scoreboard is brought to you by the Ram 1500. Green Card Journal's 2015 Green Truck of the Year. Visit ramtrucks.com to learn more about the fuel-efficient Ram 1500. And we'll check out some Cactus League action in a moment. Here's a little shallow fly ball into left center. The R.B. Myers, who's now playing there, is under, and he'll put it away. Myers coming in this inning for Krause, who was out there in left field.
The double flap helmet tells you one thing about LaValle. Minor league player filling in today. Exciting days for youngsters when they get the call in the morning from their manager. Somebody in the staff say, you're going to be playing on the other side today. Go have fun. Now, Brian Pena is one of the few hitters in the big leagues that does wear a double flap all the time as a switch hitter.
Pena checking on that one, went around for strike one. He's gone all the way as their DH today. The Reds with a split squad day, so they've had to stretch their personnel out. They have another game against Colorado. Here's the pitch, and that one is outside. In the Cactus League today, Cleveland and Seattle 3-3 in the 8th inning. Brad Miller with a couple of home runs for Seattle in that one. Dodgers and Giants, they're tied at 5 in the 8th inning. Puig, his first spring home run for the Dodgers. And Texas is blanking Oakland 3-0 in the 6th inning. Rougned Odor with a home run for Texas in that game. Pitch was in there on Pena. And he's behind 1-2 as Lindstrom tries to polish off the Reds here in the bottom of the 8th. 2 outs, runner at first base.
As you mentioned, the Rangers, they're hoping for a healthy season out of Chin-So Chu and many others. And Prince Fielder.
There's one up and in. Looks like they're not going to get a healthy season from Yu Darvish. That would be some kind of a blow to Texas if he has to undergo arm surgery.
Also, early in camp, they know they're not going to have Jurickson Profar again.
Going to miss another season. Here's the pitch. That one misses low.
There was a connection between Brian Pena and Chin-So Chu, which is related to the double flap helmet. Difference is Chin-So is not a switch hitter.
Yes, more comfortable with that kind of helmet going back to his days in South Korea.
Of course. And our good friend, the old dog, used to wear the double flap. Orlando Hudson.
Yeah. Here goes the runner and the 3-2 delivery. It's lifted in the air down the left field side. That one is going to push foul back to the seats. Should be getting the official attendance here for today's game. Fair crowd here today.
So you know what I get to do tonight? Like every Monday for the last 4 weeks? Moda Mondays. It's a Twitter chat. Hashtag Moda Mondays. I expect a question from you tonight. 8 p.m. Pacific. So it's all on at Fox Sports West. Twitter handle. Moda Mondays with the hashtag. Send it in.
There's a bouncer foul on the right side. So it's almost like a hot stove radio kind of show, but it's not on the radio. It's on Twitter.
Exactly, like you and I used to do for so many years. What do we have? Angels Clubhouse? What else do we have? Angels Hot Stove preseason show.
Right.
For so many years, a lot of fun. So now with technology, of course, and social media, now we do it on Twitter.
Here's the pitch. That one is bounced softly to first. Easy play for Navarro, and a nice inning for Lindstrom. He retires the final 3 in a row. That's it for the Reds. They had the leadoff hit by Soto. That was it. He's left on base. We're headed to the 9th inning where the Angels have a 5-4 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Ninth inning we go here in Goodyear, where today we've had a crowd of 3,138. First batter up for the Angels, Efren Navarro. And the first pitch, he lines it the opposite way into left field for a leadoff hit. Navarro greeting Travieso there with that sharply hit ball the opposite way. Featherston will be the next batter.
Efren Navarro belongs on the Angels ball club. He has served enough time in the minor leagues to become versatile. Great guy. He can handle the bat. He'll take it at first, help you in left field, and hopefully there's a spot for him in that bench.
Here's Featherston set to bat.
This guy's making a case for himself. He's looked really good here early in camp.
And he is a young player that the Angels have to make a call on.
Interesting acquisition, huh, Terry?
Yeah.
You can take us through that?
He's a Rule 5 draftee who was in the Rockies organization up until this season. Runner at first goes. That one's fouled back behind the plate. Navarro got a good jump on Travieso, but a foul ball. And then in December, the Cubs drafted Featherston away from the Rockies as a Rule 5 draftee. He played in Double-A last year. And then the Angels acquired him in a trade with the Cubs. It was kind of a predetermined deal.
Right.
Cubs drafted higher than the Angels in that Rule 5 draft, and the Angels really coveted Featherston, so they had kind of worked out an agreement with the Cubs, and so we'll see how it all plays out. Featherston right now on the Angels' 40-man roster, as that one is ripped foul down the right side.
That's a
nice catch on that one.
We just talking about the crowd and talking about being in the right place, right time. That's beautiful. Nice hands. And who's wearing red for which team? There's a question.
I think he's a golfer. Has a red Titleist cap on. Here's the pitch. Hopped in the air into right field. Routine play for Juan Duran, and he puts it away. Battled the sun a little bit. That's the first out. On our Fox Sports West side today, when you saw that fan make that catch of that foul ball down the right side, you could see in the background all of the airplanes that are very close to this ballpark that are parked out there.
Terry, bring me to this ballpark anytime you want.
Right. And that's kind of a graveyard for retired airplanes.
It's kind of sad to look at that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Here's the pitch. That one is low. You see a lot of commercial airliners out there about a mile away from the ballpark, and they're all planes that, for whatever reason, the airline companies decided to take out of their fleet, and so they need to put them somewhere, maybe try and sell them, but...
Oh, there's a lot of spare sparks going out of here.
Oh,
Trust me.
There's a pickoff toss over to first base. Diving back to the bag goes the base runner, Efren Navarro. But it's amazing to see them all out there because it's a very small airport to begin with here in Goodyear. It's not like this is the Phoenix airport we're talking about, Sky Harbor. Travieso in his second inning of relief, he struggled a bit. They pitch out thinking Navarro was going to be on the move. He wasn't. So it's 2 balls, no strikes on Grant Green.
Terry, there's a chance you were on one of those planes out there at one point. Got some miles out there.
Yep. And maybe some of our listeners and viewers as well.
They come from all over the world, not just domestic airlines.
Here's the next delivery. That one is fouled back on the right side, backing out of play. The Angels have action in the bullpen, and Ryan Matthews is warming up, so he will be the next pitcher in all likelihood in the bottom of the ninth, trying to save this ball game. The Angels up 5-4, ninth inning.
It's good to see our good friend Patrick O'Neill He got here yesterday.
There's a pitch up and in on Grand Cream, moves him off the plate.
He'll be along with Patrick O'Neill doing the Angels live post-game show on the television side after this one. He said he's got the Kings going in the right direction. What do you think?
I think the Kings, for whatever reason, they get hot near the end of the season the last few years. Here's a ground ball base hit. Good job of hitting by Green. Navarro moves to second and will make a turn but stop there. And the Angels have runners at first and second. One out. And Carlos Perez will be the next batter.
Brent Green sprays the ball around. He's been doing it pretty much throughout his career and hoping that this is the opportunity he's been looking for. Well, the guy that Mike Scioscia said it clearly, you know, we might have a guy that plays second base more than other positions, but he doesn't want to be stuck to just a second baseman because of the versatility that the other guys, and pretty much all of them, provide.
Also saw Green play a little bit of outfield for the Angels last year. So here's Perez at the plate. Travieso's pitch. It's a high fly ball lifted into left field. It's playable, though. Circling under, making the grab is the left fielder Josh Satin. And that'll be the second out. Satin got a little twisted around on that one, but it wasn't hit as deep as he first thought, so he had time to recover. Ryan Wheeler will be the next batter.
Not here with the Reds today. Their slugger Todd Frazier recently signed to a 2-year deal. Also Billy Hamilton, speedster center fielder. They expect to see more out of Hamilton, especially as the second half comes around this season. And they acquired Marlon Byrd, who hit a career-high 25 home runs last year for the Philadelphia. He will be their everyday left fielder. So hopefully we'll see a team that'll bounce back.
Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss by Wheeler.
After that, Terry, Devin Mesoraco, their young catcher. What a pop in that bat. 25 home runs last year. Under 400 at bats.
Bluffing a toss to second base is Travieso. Hustling back to the bag goes the base runner over there. That's Navarro.
Of course, can't forget about Brandon Phillips, their mighty second baseman.
Here's the pitch that's fouled off. The one thing about the Reds lineup, Jose, they have a lot of strikeouts in that lineup, and that was why it was kind of surprising that they went out and got Marlon Byrd. I know they needed another bat in the outfield, but Byrd, you mentioned he hit 25 homers last year, which he did. He also struck out 185 times, and that's added to a roster that features a lot of batters who strike out. Here's a bouncer by the mound, stopped by the second baseman, and the throw is just in time to Nick Wheeler to end the inning. That was a nice play by the second baseman there, who went back on the outfield grass to stop that one a couple of feet back on the grass. The Angels had another threat against Travieso, but failed to score. No runs, 2 more hits in the inning, no errors, and the Angels leave the pair. It's 11 stranded today, but as we get ready to move to the bottom of the 9th inning, Angels have a 5-4 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. go to the bottom of the ninth inning. Angels 3 outs away from posting a victory. We'll see if the Halos can do it. Ryan Matthews is the new pitcher, and the first pitch, left-handed hitter at the plate. That one misses for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. This is Shane Marderosian, the second baseman who made a nice play to end the Angels' ninth. He's batting for the first time, and he takes that one low. 2 balls, no strikes. Here's the next one for Matthews. Lined into right field, but caught there by Kieschnick. Made a couple of nice plays out in the outfield since coming into the game. Made the running catch toward the line there, medium right field. Marderosian hit it hard, but he's retired on the liner, 1 away. Falou will be the next batter. Fans, be sure to tune into the Rich Eisen Show weekday mornings. He has great guests and topics daily. That's the Rich Eisen Show, 9 to noon, right here on Angels Radio, AM 830 KLAA. Pitch a little bit low. Falou has had a hit, couple stolen bases since coming in. Matthews, who's trying to get the final 2 outs here, appearing in his second game this spring, and he had a 1-2-3 inning his first outing. There's one bounce by the mound and through the middle, a base hit. So Falou, the tying runner on at first base, 1 out here in the bottom of the ninth. Batter is Yorman Rodriguez. He's gone all the way in this game. Oh for 2 with a walk. Matthews is set, and the pitch, swing and a miss. Ryan Matthews trying to make the Angels opening day roster as a non-roster pitcher. Signed a minor league deal. Formerly with the Washington Nationals. Was sidelined some of last season. Only 7 games, 8 2/3 innings with Washington. Pitched in the minors last year. Right-hander against right-hander, and Matthews bluffs a pickoff toss. Jose is headed downstairs. He'll be chatting with Angels manager Mike Socia right after the ball game. Get some of his thoughts on today's action. Matthews set, delivers. Chopped foul, third base side. So the count moves to 0-2. Starting to get a few shadows creeping in from behind home plate. Not much of a factor right now. Angels have the infield at double play depth. Here's the next pitch. Popped in the air, out behind second, going back in shallow center, and unable to reach it as Featherston. It drops in. A blue pit. That ball just had enough carry to clear the infield, and it was too far in front of the center fielder, Daniel Robertson. Featherston did everything he could, but just couldn't quite reach it. Dropped just out of his reach, trying to make a running over the shoulder grab. So now runners at first and second. The tying run at second base with 1 out. And here is Duran, who's getting ready to bat for the second time. Reached on an error his first time up. Big right-handed batter. And the pitch, that one is outside. Duran is a young player who has good power, but he will strike out a lot. Falou, who can run, he's the lead runner at second. Here's the pitch, and that is low and outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Last couple of games the Angels have not been able to hold on to leads in the late innings, and hoping that is not the case today. Next delivery, and that's chopped foul back behind the plate. Angels and Texas Rangers tomorrow afternoon. And then the Angels will play the D-backs on Wednesday. Also this week, the Angels have games against the Cubs, Padres, and split squad Saturday against the White Sox and Royals. Here's a ball. It's well hit into right field, and that ball is gone. A 3-run walk-off home run by Juan Duran, and that'll do it. The Reds come back with a 3 spot here in the bottom of the 9th with 1 out and win the ball game as they beat the Angels 7-5. That one just cleared the yellow line out there in right field. Hit off the top part of the wall, but where it hit the wall, it had cleared the yellow line for a home run. So a tough loss for the Angels today here in Goodyear. Mentioned Duran, a young player with good power, and he showed it there with the walk-off 3-run homer. So today here in Goodyear, Reds win it by the final of 7-5. Mentioned Jose will be joined by Angels manager Mike Scioscia. And just a moment, get some of his thoughts on today's ball game. But a loss today where the Angels were unable to hold on to the lead in the bottom of the 9th inning. Duran with that home run, and he gave it a good ride out there to right field, just clearing the yellow line there for the home run. Matthews wound up being the losing pitcher, and Travioso will get the victory. Let's go down to Jose and manager Mike Scioscia.
Thank you, Terry. Never easy, Mike, to lose games like this, especially for guys as you call peripheral guys. What is the main thing that you want to see from them when they start establishing themselves around camp?
Well, I think today we just didn't get first pitch strikes from just about all our pitchers, Jose. Got out of some jams and some we didn't. But I think the long and short of it is we need guys to make pitches, and we'll make plays behind them, and we just haven't had that chance the last 3 games. Losing them late.
Let's talk about Andrew Heaney, former catcher. You saw the bullpens. You evaluated this stuff. How did this stuff play here between the white lines today?
Well, I think, Andrew and Nick Tropiano and Heaney, those guys got there, maybe getting a little butterflies, getting some rough edges out, getting their first spring start. They were not in the zone early, as we talked about, some of the issues. But Andrew's stuff really plays well, and he had some good hitters take some ugly swings off of him, and that's a good sign.
How much do you gauge how he approaches a Joey Votto, for example? You have the lefty-lefty matchups for a guy like that.
Well, I think, like I said, some of those swings say a lot about a guy's stuff. And you had Bruce and you had Votto there in that lineup, and Andrew made some really, really good pitches to them.
How do you evaluate your offense and where they're at this point?
Well, I think we did some good things well, and some things we didn't quite finish off. A couple misreads on the bases this afternoon, but the guys are getting their legs under them for the most part. I think we're going to be fine in the batter's box. Don and Dave and Paulie Sorrento have been really hammering the situational game, and I think we had a good approach today.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Jose.
Terry, welcome back, my friend, and glad you're feeling better. Let's go back up to you.
All right, thanks, Jose. And tough loss today for the Angels, who just could not hold on to the lead for the 3rd straight game. Of course, the pitchers that are working late in these ball games are not the ones that, in all likelihood, will be in those kind of roles when the regular season begins. But you always like to hold on to late inning leads, and the Angels just not able to do it here today. I want to thank Jose, and thank you for listening and viewing the final score today from Goodyear Ballpark. It was the Reds, a 7-5 winner against the Angels. For those of you watching on TV, Jose, along with Patrick O'Neill, will have a lot more post-game analysis. On the radio side, we'll have more from Goodyear as well. This is the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.